Duvalier Malone Enterprises.
And what do you think whenever you heard that the news that Governor Bryant declared October was Racial Reconciliation Month?
One of the things that I thought about when I immediately heard it, it's cliche. If we look in April, the governor declared April as Confederate Heritage Month here in the state of Mississippi. Now October, he's declaring Racial Reconciliation Month. So it seemed like here in the state of Mississippi, what we're doing is every month that there's a holiday or a particular, standard or tradition of doing something, we're declaring that. But are we really making a difference? Are we really reconciling? Are we really making a change in our communities? And when we look at the governor's decision, when we look at his comments, when universities make the decision to join with the nation to take down the Confederate flag, he has comments in regards to that. Negative comments, instead of joining together in unity to say, you know what, I am excited to see that universities are taking upon themselves to disband this Confederate symbol of hate. Because when we look at universities like the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, USM, they all have African American students who decide to come to those schools. Do we not think that flag is offensive to those students?
Do you think the flag, obviously it's a flag, do you think that could be the starting point though of taking it down?
Absolutely, and that's why we're here today. I'm here today with young millennials who are joining me here to say, you know what, enough is enough. We're going to stand and unify together, whether the governor's standing here today with us or not. We know that 9 times out of 10, we're not going to get an apology from the governor. That's not our point here today. Our point here is to start a conversation, to start a movement of unity, to say that whether the governor or whether our leaders stand with us for unity, we are going to stand as young millennials for unity. We have students here from Tougaloo College. We have young motivational speakers here that live here in the state of Mississippi that have been here in their communities, grassroots. So we're excited today to stand here and unify to say enough is enough, and we're going to take it upon ourselves to start the unity process.
Well, in your press release, it says that you want an apology from the governor. What are you wanting to hear from him?
You know what I want to hear from the governor? When we look at, as our state got a lot of national attention under the Confederate flag, we got a lot of attention on HB 1523, right? Businesses started to say, we're not going to come to Mississippi. Actors and different professional athletes said, you know what? We are not standing for this symbol of hate. The governor have yet to come back and stand somewhere and say to the nation, I apologize for the support of the Confederate flag. We're open for business. We want you to come to our state. Just yesterday, I hosted Dine Inc. Agriculture. We're trying to bring 500 jobs here to Mississippi, and we are trying to recruit. It's very hard to recruit in a state that is known for hatred and for our dark past. So as the governor, being our leader of Mississippi, should stand and tell the nation that we apologize for our racial past. When we look at Emmett Till, who was sent here for a vacation, a summer with his family in the Mississippi Delta, was murdered there in the Delta. We have yet to get an apology for that. When we look at Medgar Evers, who was murdered in his home, fighting for the right to vote, and the state continue to, make these cliches of museums and different things. But until we stand as a community and make action, we can talk all day, but until we make action, and I think the action for the world will see that Mississippi is not the last in the state. We are going to take down the Confederate flag and stand with other states across the country.
What do you think taking down that flag would say to the African American community in Mississippi alone?
It will start the healing process, because talk is cheap. Action. The flag will start the healing process. When we look at South Carolina just released an article that talked about how tourism and how the economy is booming in South Carolina now because they've taken down the Confederate flag. So I definitely think the flag will start the healing process for the African American community, and it also will help our tourism, and it will stop that darkness. There in Washington, when I say I'm from Mississippi, people are like, oh wow, it's as if we're the last for everything in the state. So that Confederate flag will show the world that we're not holding on to our dark past, but we're creating a new day in Mississippi, and we want to bring and unify the state together. So definitely it will bring healing to our state.
Did you know that Governor Bryant up in the Shelby County Fair said that he wouldn't have minded seeing something on the ballot this November about possibly changing the flag?
We've been down that road before. We've been down that road before. Why do we have to spend money in an election? You know, to have a special election for the flag, that's taxpayer monies. Why can't we just put it here on the floor and let's vote? Representative of the House Speaker, Gunn, released a statement that we need to disband this symbol, right? Why won't we just put it on the floor? Representative Skikes, who's here with us today, she put many bills forward to say, let's get rid of it. And what happened, Skikes? What happened?
Died in committee.
Died in committee. So until we stop playing this political system, until we stop the cliche of declaring every holiday Reconciliation Month every October, we need action, and that's what we're here today. And we know that we may not get an apology today, but I want you guys to look, turn the cameras around and look at the millenniums who are here today, standing with us to saying that we don't need an apology. We're going to create our own movement today.
Okay, reconciliation. October is Reconciliation Month. Tell me what reconciliation means to you and what you think it means to the governor and how those differ.
Reconciliation for me is action. Reconciliation is, if we're really going to reconcile, we need to have some type of action. So the reason why I'm here today is because I want to create action. So the governor declared Reconciliation Month. He had a press conference. He given away some awards and different things and partnered with Mission Mississippi. But what action have we saw? What African American church have the governor visit lately? You know, what action are we going to put in place? So taking down that Confederate flag is an action. When we look at the governor, when he called the legislators back for in June for budget, why can't he call the legislators back to action here and let's get a vote? Why can't we call them back to action? We called them to action to go into the rainy day fund. Let's call the legislators back to action here and let's get a vote. And if we get a vote that votes down the flag, then citizens across the state of Mississippi can go to the polls and they can vote the different. But until we allow the legislators who we vote in office to vote and represent us here, we're not going to get anything. So reconciliation for me is action. I think what the governor is doing is reconciliation. In the governor's mind, it's just cliche, as I said. We have always, for Mississippians and some, we've always done tradition. So this is a tradition. So I think we got to get past the tradition and we got to get on the bandwagon with the rest of the country, and we got to move forward in progress.
What happens if Mississippians decide to vote it down again? What does that say to you?
If Mississippians decide to vote it down again, then that's a decision that we can continue to fight for. But one thing that I can tell you is that I believe that if we give the lawmakers who we vote in office an opportunity to vote on it, then that will give us a pulse check to determine the leaders that we need to put here in the state capitol. So definitely, I think the first step is not voting down legislation that our lawmakers that we send here put forward. Let's get a vote. And when we get a vote, then Mississippians can come to the polls and they can vote differently and based on the lawmakers that we put here. Definitely.
But your Mississippians, though, are voting Republican because there's a super majority in the legislature for Republicans. So how do you sway those Republicans?
Like I said before, the Speaker of the House made a national statement to the world that flag is disbanded.
And
so
Governor Haley is Republican.
So do you think the Speaker of
And
the
they
House
took
will
it
go
down
back
in
on
South
his
Carolina.
statement? So let's get a vote. Let's get a vote. Because we won't know until we get a vote. When we get a vote, then we can determine what kind of lawmakers we have here. I don't believe, I love Mississippi, born and raised here in Mississippi, and I believe that the lawmakers that we have here today want to see economic development come back to the state. They want to see the state unified. So let's put it on the floor. Let's get a vote. And once we get a vote, then we can come back and answer some of these questions that you're asking today, because I can't think in the minds of the Republicans that we have there on the floor. All I can do is tell you what I hear in my town hall meetings and my pulse checks across Mississippi. Republicans and Democrats alike want to see this flag taken down, and they want unity, economic development in the state. Just yesterday, I met with the Mississippi Business Authority, and the common theme wasn't a Confederate flag, it wasn't hate. It was, we want to bring jobs to Mississippi. So definitely, I think the community, I think citizens and lawmakers alike want to see change here in Mississippi. And until we allow the lawmakers to do what we elected them to do by getting a vote on the floor, we will not know exactly until we get that vote. So we need a vote. We need a vote.
Do you think some of them are afraid? Like some of the Republicans would like to see the flag gone, but they're afraid to speak out because their constituents are the ones who want to keep that flag there, and so they do it to keep their constituents happy?
Or the governor.
Or the governor?
We haven't
Like I
had a
said
vote, so
earlier,
we don't know.
I am not in the minds of those Republicans. All I can tell you is the people that I represent, the people that I lobby for every day in Washington, they want unity, and those are Republicans and Democrats. So until we get a vote, we won't know.
Exactly.
Because my thing is, when we get a vote, then we can do a pulse check. But I am not in the minds of those representatives here. We need a vote.
Governor Bryant, his go-to answer for the flag is, well, in 2001, they voted for it in 2001. But from 2001 to 2016, do you think our country has shifted? We've seen a big shift in the mindset
We're the
of many
last state.
people.
Absolutely.
that say?
We are the last state to still hover that flag over our state. So definitely, I think the country has changed. South Carolina just recently saw a boom in their economy. When we look at Mississippi, just